2,800 miles separate Delmarva from Hollywood, California, but the connection is stronger than you might think.
Okay, like Linda Hamilton from Salisbury, Golden Girl, the author, once lived in Cambridge, Maryland. Robert Mitchum, he is from Talbot County. Then there's the long list of movies that were filmed on Delmarva, The Wedding Crashers, Runaway Bride, just to name a few.
Yeah. Now, Queen Anne's County author Brent Lewis has put together stories that connect the Eastern Shore to Tinseltown in a book called Stardust by the Bushel, Hollywood on the Chesapeake Bay's Eastern Shore. And Brent joins us this afternoon here in Historic Studio D. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in today. So, this is your book?
It is.
And Stardust, was it hard to find all these stories?
It was a lot easier than I anticipated.
Yeah.
There were more of them than I thought there might be. And since it was written during COVID, a lot of people were perhaps available to me who might not have been otherwise.
Okay.
Because they were home looking for something to do, and talking to me was on the menu.
On the list right there.
So one of the things that I thought was extremely interesting, movie productions on the peninsula date back to the early 20th century.
Absolutely. The first silent film made on Delmarva, partially filmed on the shore, I should say, was filmed in my home county of Queen Anne's in Queenstown in 1917. It was called The Whip, based on a play, and it was a horse racing melodrama. A very famous producer and boxing promoter named William Brady staged a train crash in Queenstown. He bought some rolling stock and rented a piece of track and staged and filmed a huge train crash.
Wow.
Wow.
How about that? Now, you talked to relatives of Robert Mitchum.
I did. I spent a lot of time talking to Patrine Mitchum. She's his daughter. They lived in Talbot County during the 60s, during one of the heights of his careers, and she, of his 3 children, is really the one who grew up on the shore.
Yeah, and he has quite a story of his own.
He really does. He was a interesting character both on screen and off. You know, when as a movie star, he was also a very good actor, which sometimes aren't the same things.
Right.
And George C. Scott, who was also an infamous tough guy actor, once said that Robert Mitchum was the only real tough guy actor in Hollywood.
Really? How about that? Okay. Tallulah Bankhead.
Tallulah actually is an Alabama-born girl, but she is buried in Kent County, Maryland. And primarily because her sister lived here at the time of her passing. Yeah. But she's one of our eternal stars. Tallulah was primarily a stage star, though she was in some movies, including Alfred Hitchcock's Lifeboat. It's probably her most famous film. But she's more known perhaps for being a very controversial figure. She was very outspoken.
And wasn't she, didn't she get into the movies because of The Whip, or was there some connection?
Yes, that's funny you mentioned that. That was one of the neat things about writing the book, is all these little neat connections that I stumbled onto, basically. That was the first play first professional play she ever saw. Her mom died soon after Tallulah was born. And so Tallulah and her sister, Eugenia, went to several different schools throughout their youth. And they were in New York. Her father was a politician, took them to see The Whip on Broadway, and it made quite an impression on young Tallulah.
How about that? So talk to us about Linda Harris.
Linda Harrison is from Berlin. She is in the original Planet of the Apes movie with Charlton Heston from 1968. She played Nova, the primitive cave woman, who is in that final giant scene with the Statue of Liberty in that movie. It's a very famous scene. She went on to do a few other things, but she also married a very famous Hollywood producer named Richard Zanuck. And was a Hollywood wife, raised her children, saw a lot of behind-the-scenes things with Jaws and Driving Miss Daisy, and she actually moved back to Berlin for a while a few years ago, but she's back in LA now to be near her sons and their family.
So much interesting information. So we're going to actually keep chatting with Brent here, but we have to take a quick break. Stay tuned.
So we're having a little fun today with author Brent Lewis. Again, thank you for stopping by and talking to us. And we're talking about Hollywood on Delmarva. Now, one of the things that you talk about, Brent, is how the movies ended up being made here on the peninsula. Was there like a clear theme of how they always wound up here, or?
You know, I think even from the earliest days, even before they could recreate everything on screen without actually being in a place, there was always a special draw about this area. One of the early filmmakers said that, you know, Hollywood had learned how to fake just about everything except the Chesapeake Bay area. And I think that draws them in. One of the people that I got to interview for the book was Carol Fleischer, and she's a locations scout and manager, and she's very focused on the Delmarva area. And whenever someone was looking for something like Wedding Crashers, they were looking for a place, she kind of knows off the top of her head exactly what might fit their needs. And sometimes they go and look other places and end up back back here anyway.
Yeah,
How about that?
And then the people within the county, there was someone within Talbot County who was a big mover of getting these.
Debbie Dodson was very important back in the 90s with bringing filmmaking here on the shore. Runaway Bride, Wedding Crashers, Failure to Launch, those films.
So you know a lot about the history of this. Have you heard anything about maybe another one coming soon?
I have, and I keep pushing to find out if I could get any information ahead of time, but no one has come forward. Jack Jervis with the Maryland Film Office, he is someone I interviewed for the book and have had an opportunity to talk to since. And I keep asking him. He's kind of secretive about that stuff.
All right, well, you're going to be our source.
Yeah, we're going to be calling you every day now.
Absolutely.
But you're also going to be part of the OC Film Fest.
Absolutely.
So tell us about that.
So the Art League of Ocean City is hosting the 6th annual Ocean City Film Festival, March 3rd through 6th. And on the 4th, I'm hosting a Q&A presentation. I'll have Jack Jervis with the Maryland Film Office. I'll have Tim Kearns, whose family story was made into the movie Flash of Genius about the inventor of the intermittent windshield wipers.
The Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear played. And I'm also having Matt and Monique Klosowski and their dog Sayuri, who played Brad Pitt's heroic pit bull in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The Klosowskis are Delmarva residents, so they're going to be on the panel as well.
We talked about that connection. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're looking forward to meeting them.
Yeah. So the name of the book is Stardust by the Bushel, Hollywood on the Chesapeake Bay's Eastern Shore. You can pick it up just about anywhere you can get a book, right?
Online, it's at a lot of local bookstores like the Greyhound in Berlin and Sundial in Chincoteague, Vintage Books in Easton, and several other places around, including Mystery Loves Company in Oxford, which are big supporters.
Author Brent Lewis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jimmy's going to be calling you every day.
Yes, I will.
We'll get you a
Find out where
starring
the
role.
stars are going to be.